You're going to grab it off anyways.
Hey! Welcome to Tuesdays with Gail, Christmas edition. Merry Christmas. So today I wanted to look at a fee sheet. A fee sheet is something that once you apply for a loan, for example with V, she's with Dash Mortgage, she'll give you, you should be getting a fee sheet. So how you read one. First of all, when people are applying a loan with you, do they automatically get a fee sheet? Should they ask for one, or how does that work?
Either they'll get the fee sheet from me, or they'll ask me, hey, what are the closing costs? Or if they don't, usually I'll let them know what the closing costs look like. Or also, it'll be on the application that they sign as well.
Okay. And if they do not look like they're a candidate to get a loan, will they get one of these, or is that only when they look like they're a possible candidate to get a loan?
Usually it's when they look like a possible candidate for a loan. But if they ask for it, obviously I'm going to give it to them so they have full expectations of what all the fees look like in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not concrete, they're just approximations, just to give you an idea of what your closing costs would look like.
Exactly.
And
because these numbers are going to be based on the amount that they put for the purchase price on the application. It's going to be for the down payment amount. And also it's going to be an estimate of just like the title fees, because every title company is a little bit different on their fees. It's going to be an estimate of the day that they close, because even that affects the closing costs. So this is just approximate numbers, as close as we can get it to realistic numbers, right? And then once we get more information as far as like the house, once it's in a contract, a close date, and then we can really get those numbers more concrete.
Okay. So this is just like an initial summary of what your cost will be when you get a loan to buy a house. So I'm going to switch views because there's a couple of things that V explain are real important when you start applying for a loan to buy a house, to look at the different fee sheets, because you do want to see what different lenders are charging, because there's a few places where it may look like you're getting a better deal with one lender, but then if you look closely, you'll see where they're kind of making up on the difference.
Exactly.
So it's real important that you know what to look at when you're looking at fee sheets, because the bulk of the expense when you're buying a house is the loan. So I'm going to switch views real quick so you can see an example of this fee sheet, and she's going to show us 3 specific things to look at for any fee sheet that you get to make sure you're getting a good bargain, best deal, and to also realize when you might not be. When you may be coming more out of pocket. So we're going to switch views real quick, and then we'll see this.
All right. So when you guys are comparing and looking at fee sheets, obviously the first thing you're going to be looking at is the interest rate, right? So this one is a little bit higher. This is the down payment assistance program. So don't freak out too much when you see these numbers. So this is the interest rate. And basically when you look at the interest rate, you can think of it as the base cost of getting a loan off of the principal amount that you're borrowing against, right? The second thing that's really important is this APR, which is the annual percentage rate. Now, what is this APR? This APR is the interest rate, plus a lot of these fees that are included, all these highlighted fees included in the cost of borrowing the loan.
Okay.
Now, why is that important? Because, let me tell you, a lot of people will just look at the interest rate and they'll choose the lowest interest rate. That seems to make sense, right?
Yeah.
But there are some lenders out there that are a little bit tricky, and they know that tons of borrowers do that. They only look at the interest rate. You can always pay, as a borrower, you can always pay points to lower your interest rate. Some lenders will just throw it on there and not tell you that you're paying these extra closing costs, right? And so a lot of folks don't realize, oh my goodness, this lender is quoting such a low rate, but they don't realize that they're actually paying thousands of dollars extra at closing to get that lower rate. So it's really important to look at that interest rate, to look at this APR, which is, again, that interest rate plus fees. And then the third thing that's really important is right here, this total estimated funds from borrower and this amount here. So that's going to be the down payment plus all the closing costs and prepaids that are included. So those are the 3 numbers that you guys are going to be looking at when comparing these fee sheets from different lenders.
Okay. And if the APR is higher and the down payment is higher, that means some of those numbers were worked in
to get that lower interest rate.
The lower interest rate
Exactly.
here. But you need to take both of these numbers into consideration because one might be for the life of the loan and the other one is for the closing costs.
It's going to include the closing costs. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're both equally as important. So this is a fee sheet. And again, we just went over interest rate, APR, and closing costs, which this would be an example of that final number, which is about $1,200. This is an example of a grant program, down payment assistance program. So rates may be a little different. When you get into specialized programs, rates will often tend to be higher than normal. But there are some incentives when you do go through those programs, which is money back. Still, though, it's still important with any fee sheet that you look at those numbers. If you have any questions about that, ask me. Reach out to V. If you want something that looks like this, if you're interested in buying a house, maybe that's your New Year's resolution is to buy a house for the new year, and you want to kind of know where you stand, what some of these costs look like, ask V.
Yes.
She'll guide you where you need to go so you can get an initial fee worksheet so you can see what some of your closing costs are, see if you have that saved, see if you qualify for some of the down payment assistance programs that would help you pay for some of these down payments here. And you don't know until you know, and this is the first step in knowing. Applying and getting something like this where you can look through and see what it is entails to get a loan. So with that said, let me get back on. See, you'll have a great Christmas. And again, if you have any questions about fee sheets, interest rates, APR, all of that good stuff, if you have any questions about buying a house, V's your girl. You can get her to her through this post that I'm going to post or through me. Until then, you have a great Tuesday.
Happy holidays.
Bye.